The 3Cities is an annual cycling tour organised by Hope and Knowledge, an East London club since 2014. Each year, they choose a different charity to support. In 2019, the team raised over £70,000 for Little Hearts.
Millions of children around the world suffer from congenital heart defects. And we at Munter Aid believe that not enough is being done to tackle this issue. It is a major killer of children around the world. Since launching this program, we've carried out over 30 missions and we have saved the lives of more than 2,000 children.
I can't even explain with words the satisfaction it felt knowing the fact that we're working with Munter Aid, the Little Hearts Project, something that we always wanted to work with.
The Bangladesh cardiac program was set up in 2015. We carried out 3 missions in Bangladesh and we realized that the numbers of children born each year with heart defects is vast, and we needed to provide continuous ongoing operations throughout the year. So we set up a permanent cardiac program at the Ibrahim Cardiac Hospital in Dhaka. That project provides free treatment to children suffering from heart defects throughout the year.
The tour started on the 26th of August. These otherwise regular next-door neighbours overcame the extreme weather, foreign terrain, and pushed their bodies to the limit to sponsor 50 children's heart operations in Bangladesh.
The preparation for 3Cities pretty much starts about 9 months in advance. As soon as we've kind of identified the 26 riders, we found the 3Cities that we're going to do. And then we also found the charity that we want to work with. We go about we advertise it to our cycle club. Our selected criteria isn't based on ability, it's purely based on who's taking part in club ride. Our training plan starts pretty much straight after Ramadan, roughly between 12 to 13 weeks of training. So alhamdulillah, so we got to Prague, everyone got there safe and sound. The night before, we had a quick briefing where we talked about safety issues. So we started off around 8 o'clock in the morning. The surface wasn't that great. You have the cobble streets, you had the tram line, which for us Brits are not really used to. It's actually quite a hazardous place to cycle. So we knew that day one is to cover 100 miles with around 6,500 feet elevation. It's quite a lot. And then the initial part, I must say, we hit about 7 miles into our first day one. We had a little accident. 2 people fell off the bike. It was quite serious, but people did bandaged up. The support team came on board, and despite the injury, the spirit was so high that they still wanted to continue cycling. Spare bike needed a bit of an issue, so we had to on the spot fix the bike up, the spare bike as well, and then alhamdulillah we just continued. Unfortunately, with the first breakpoint, the support van weren't available, but the second breakpoint was around 55-60 miles. And the interesting was from there was the main crux of the ride where the elevation starts. It was a very, very tough one. What I do remember is when we got to the top of the hill, riders were literally just flat out on the side of the road, literally just drinking and putting water through their head. And it was just pure exhaustion. But spirit was still there. Took 5-minute rest. And I think by that time we sat there and we all kind of came to the conclusion that this was the steepest climb that we've done ever. The hardest part I think the day one was after doing all the climbs, they got to the hotel and the hotel happens to be on the top of the hill. When they got to the top of the hill, some of them did 99.3, 99.7. They wouldn't want to end it. As much as exhausted they were, the legs were gone, they were cramping up the legs and they were on the already top of the hill. Some of the riders went back down again, kept going round and round up the hill just so that they can round it to 100 and then save the ride for that satisfaction of did a century.
There are thousands of kids who have benefited from our project, where this little boy, Rakib, had he not had treatment at our centre, he would not have reached adulthood. But now, after our surgery, he is now a healthy boy, and he's no longer going through the agony and the pain of congenital heart defects. So the family are delighted now that, and what meager resources they have no longer has to be spent for treatment of Rakib. They can spend this money on Rakib's education and to give him a future.
So day 2, we started off in a very nice location. It was right next to the hotel, a 13th century castle. And so it was a very nice setting to start off from. Everyone can get a fair share of the ajr for this operation. And while these children are alive, and every benefit, every ajr they do, whether it's salah, charity, we are going to get rewarded for that as well. So the first breakpoint was about 20 miles. It was a nice, easy first part of the ride. Very nice scenic route going through beautiful lakes around the sides. I remember coming to one of the biggest climb that we hit, which was, we nicknamed it the wall, because where everybody had a GPS device, we can see the elevation map. And normally you see elevation in a certain trajectory. This one, when we looked at it before we turned into it, it looked like a wall that we were about to hit. That was a very tough one. Again, tested the riders to the limit. So after second breakpoint, we started setting off, and what happened was we kind of timed it wrong. Most of us realized that by the time we get to the third breakpoint, it was actually getting really dark. Maghrib hit, knowing the fact that we were 15 miles away and it got dark now. We didn't take our lights from the van. We had to wait there. Support team had to eventually come back with our belongings, give us lights. It was a bit of an issue there, and some of the brothers obviously by that time exhaustion killed in. By second day it was really tough. Like I said, it was another 100 miles to do, another 6,500 feet elevation. By the time they got to the third break point, unfortunately a couple of the brothers decided that they just couldn't take it no more.
H&K Cycling Club have done a tremendous job. They've raised £70,000. £70,000 will enable us to carry out life-saving heart operations on 50 vulnerable little children who would have otherwise died before reaching adulthood. Now they will go on to live a normal life. They will perhaps have children of their own. They will be valuable members of their community and will be able to contribute to their society.
So day 3, alhamdulillah, the 2 tough days were done. We're setting off from Krems, heading towards Vienna. Nice flat route, very, very scenic route going through, heading towards Vienna. So the first breakpoint, again, like I said, there was nothing difficult about it. Everyone just chilled out. And then the second breakpoint we got to, we went to a little cafe, we had a little time. But one thing I did tell everyone, even though it's going to be a flat route all the way through, there was going to be one big climb. I didn't tell the riders at that time, but what it was actually a mountain that I was going to climb. It was about 8-mile long climb, and they covered about 1,200 feet elevation just in one particular climb. And the satisfaction I saw when the riders got to the bottom of that, not bottom, the top of that hill. The rapid response team were there. Little by was splashing water on their faces, and it's almost like a sense of satisfaction, achievement for coming down or coming up all the way to the top. Yeah, so that was the main highlight of day 3, was that one big climb. To be honest with you, until the end of day 3 is when I feel as though a big burden has been lifted off my shoulder. It is a massive task that we take on board, a project that knows no boundaries. It's not working just in a particular country. It's working in Europe, it's working in Africa, it's working in Asia. That's what drew us to this sort of project. And knowing the fact that the money that we raised and a successful 3 cities, put them together, for myself and H&K, it has to be one of the best 3 cities that we've done so far.